What is going on, movie lovers and bud smokers, and welcome back to another episode of 5 on It. I am Francisco.
And I'm Sir Fraser.
And today's episode is one of the great reasons why I do this show, to explore some movies that I wouldn't normally check out otherwise. And this movie is a perfect example of that. Today, we're reviewing another Steven Spielberg classic, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But before we dive any further into that, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, drop some of your favorite close encounter moments. Maybe you love this movie, maybe you hate it. Drop some comments on your maybe favorite Steven Spielberg classic movies as well. He's got tons of those. But before we go any further, Sir Fraser, tell the people what we're puffing on.
Man, so picked up a joint from a dispensary nearby. We got Mount Hood Magic. It's a nice sativa. It's infused as well. This is I've tried this brand before, Sticks, but I haven't been back in a minute, so I wanted to try this one out. It's smooth.
Yeah, like it's pretty smooth, man. It's not running or anything.
Yeah, man. So this was the first time I've seen this movie all the way through. I remember this would show up on like TBS or TNT back in the day occasionally. But yeah, for those of you who haven't seen this movie, the summary for this is an Indiana electric lineman finds his quiet and ordinary daily life turned upside down after a close encounter with a UFO, spurring him to an obsessed cross-country quest for answers as a momentous event approaches. This movie, as was mentioned, is from the legendary director Spielberg. He also wrote this screenplay, and this is one of very few screenplays or features that he's done where he's been in the writing chair as well as the director's seat.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of.
I think AI was the other one that if I'm not mistaken. I can't recall the other one, but
I think you might be right on that.
Yeah.
Because I kind of remember somebody saying that recently.
Also, something to point out, so Steven ended up writing it, but one of the earlier screenwriter collaborators that was tasked with writing the script for this was Paul Schrader, who many folks will recognize he's a legendary writer and also director.
He was not a writer for E.T.
He was not?
Yeah. Don't want to interrupt you, but he was not a writer for E.T.
Who wasn't?
Spielberg.
Spielberg wasn't? Okay.
No.
Where were we at? So Paul Schrader helped write the original script for this, and it was completely at odds with what Steven wanted. The original script focused on alien encounter from a cop's perspective, and he was trying to basically connect with these aliens, make contact with these aliens. But yeah, they ditched that, and Steven wrote the script that we have.
You know, that just came to my mind. Have you heard of a movie called Fire in the Sky?
Yeah, that was a 90s flick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that movie being disturbing.
Bro, real disturbing. I don't know why I thought this was like kind of came out way earlier than the 90s. I thought, obviously, maybe Fire in the Sky took some inspiration from this movie. I think probably every sci-fi movie or alien movie probably took some sort of inspiration from Close Encounters. You could definitely see some inspiration with Independence Day, at least in the ending shots with when the ship finally comes down, and just like some of the camera angles, how it's shown, and just like how like the size of it too as well. I feel
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been with the pause. I was doing so good.
My God.
I gotta write it off the board and put 0 on now.
Day one.
But yeah, you can see a lot of inspirations from other sci-fi movies that's come out.
I mean, you can even see inspirations of this movie, at least I can, in what would become E.T. In terms of, just like the seeds of E.T., I can see some of that here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
with the family aspect.
The family aspect.
And quickly, my bad. I thought you said E.T. You said AI.
AI.
He did write AI as
yes.
well. So yeah, you were right.
This movie stars Richard Dreyfuss, Teri Garr, Francois Truffaut.
Francois.
Francois.
Bro, come on, man.
Is that right?
Put some respect.
I mean,
on that.
I know he's. I mean, I know the last name. He's a legendary director that was, I mean, he's one of the founders of the French New Wave, which had a huge impact on, just the evolution of 1970s cinema. You know, but
and obviously Richard Dreyfuss came from Jaws as well, so Spielberg has that familiarity with him as well.
It's great that you mentioned that movie.
I had to just mention it. I had to throw that in there.
Bro, let's just talk about this legendary run. So from 1975 to the early 80s, this is what Spielberg has given us. He gave us Jaws in 75, Close Encounters of the Third Kind in 77, Raiders of the Lost Ark in 81, and E.T. in 82.
Don't forget that movie 1941, though. He put out some movie called 1941. It's an American war comedy directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale.
Wait, which year did that come out?
It came out in 79.
79. Okay, so
in between Close Encounters and Raiders.
I'm not familiar with that one.
But
was that a movie or documentary?
It looks like it's a movie. It just says an American war comedy film directed by Spielberg, written by Zemeckis and Bob Gale.
I did not see that.
Dan Aykroyd's in it, Ned Beatty, John Belushi, John Candy, Christopher Lee, Tim Matheson. Damn. I'm not sure what it got like as far as like rating wise, but I was like, don't forget that one. I'm not sure. Maybe that got a sheet. Actually, we could bring it up real quick.
Bro, that's his output from over like that decade, and then in 84 he gave us Indiana Jones and Temple of the Doom.
Got bad reviews.
He did. I mean, he definitely has some misses in his filmography.
Yeah,
but in terms of his
movies,
output in the 70s to the early 80s, dude, legendary run.
Hey, but I mean, like like you go from even let's forget about 1941. We've probably glazed over Spielberg because we did a review over Jurassic Park. We did a review on E.T. So we've done some Spielberg reviews, Jaws as well. So we've dabbled in the Spielberg pond before, but let's play around in a little bit longer. Close Encounters, forget 1941. Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Poltergeist, Twilight Zone, Indiana Jones again, The Color Purple, Goonies, Empire of the Sun, Indiana Jones again. It's like
Hook.
And then he went
in 91.
Then some movie called Always. I'm not sure about that one. That could be like the 1941 where it's like, all right, yeah, he took a little down after nothing but hitters for like 15, 20 years. Then he comes back with Hook. You can say what you want about Hook. I personally love that movie.
Yeah.
And then Jurassic Park, Schindler's List. Dude, like he's got so many fucking hitters. I don't even want to continue going into the 2000s.
And he's got so many different genres covered. But just to ground the conversation back in like the time of like the mid to late 70s, the shadow of Jaws cast just like the production history of that cast a big shadow over this movie because both of these movies went over budget. Both times the studio had to come up with, especially with Close Encounters, had to come up with more money. I think it was like around $6 to $8 million in order to help complete funding for the picture. These two movies were very similar, despite Spielberg like trying to not have a rehash over what happened. Because one of the things that he also wanted to try to do in this movie when they were making it, or as they were planning out, just how to make this movie, they wanted to do it all on a set. They didn't want to have to do with actually out there in the field because that was such a nightmare and a challenge in making Jaws. And so they wanted to do it all on set. They weren't able to do that. But one of the things that I read was that the set at the very end when the mothership comes down. I think that is one of the, if not, it might. The article I was reading, I can't remember if this was a few years ago, but up to this point, that is the largest set designed ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where they actually set up the hole with the mountain and all that stuff like that. Like that set was one of the biggest ever made and most expensive. I imagine it's pretty expensive too.
Yeah, I could see. Well, yeah, I could see that. I mean, maybe it was just a camera trick, but visually it looks like pretty.
Oh yeah,
huge
that's a highlight for me.
Yeah, I mean, we could start off with like some of the pros, I suppose, of this movie. Is the visual effects. They hold up pretty well for the most part. You could definitely see some aspects, I guess, where it looks a little I don't know. I wouldn't want to call it like video gamey, but it looks like it's a little different. Where it's like you could tell something's off about like the scene. It looks good, but it just looks like something's just a tad bit off. Of like when you're seeing everything like in the sky forming, and you see like the house and like the sky and everything. It looks real. It just looks like it's just something's just a little bit off.
Hold on, are you talking about the scene where right before the little boy is abducted?
Where like they give you like where she goes outside, you see the house to the left, and then you see like what's like the three lights in the sky, and then you see like
they kind of descend around the house.
Yeah, where it's like it looks good, especially for coming out the 70s and everything. It just looks a little off, just to the eye.
Off.
It just looks a little different. It looks a little.
Was it like the coloration?
I don't know what it is. I think it might be that it just looks different than like, let's say like when you're watching the family around the dinner table, just like, you know, when he's scooping the mashed potatoes.
Yes, you know what? I understand what you're saying now. So
There's
for example,
like an effect over like the
yes, you look like they were super implanted on the scene.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying now. I thought you're talking about. For some reason, I was getting caught up thinking that you were speaking about the effects of the actual UFOs.
No. I just meant like the whole like scene as a whole.
You felt like there's a contrast between the scene. Yes, within the scene.
Like you said, like when you're just looking at like the family just like eating around the table, or when like he's throwing the dirt through the window and all that shit. Oh my God. Like how that looks is just different than when like the UFOs start, like the sky starts forming and everything. It just looks like there's some like a certain, it looks fine, especially for the 70s, but it just looks like where they're like those other scenes are like a 10, looks perfect. This looks maybe like a 9.5. Something's just a little off.
I know exactly what you're talking about now, because even though that whole scene at the house when they abduct the little boy, even I can't remember what's the kid's name, Barry. That whole scene was a highlight for me because it definitely felt like a horror vibe where they're in the house. It felt like you were in the Poltergeist movie because all the things were rattling, right? The drawers were opening, the toys were moving. Also, I want to circle back and say that that's something I really appreciate about the opening of this film. When we actually see the UFOs from Barry's perspective, as well as from what's Dreyfuss's character? I'm blanking on his name right now.
I can't think of his name either.
Roy.
Yeah. I was about to say Ronnie, but Ronnie is the
dude. Like the vibes that they set in those contact scenes with the aliens was really well done. I love that scene as the light from the spaceships is bleeding into the house, and when he opens the door, that was a scene where I thought, okay, this looks a little super implanted, like. But that scene is so iconic. Yeah. And when he opens the door, it's so eerie because we're still not really clear at that point on their intentions. Yeah. And I just love that whole scene. That was a huge highlight for me. It also, yeah, go ahead.
Do you think they shoot that, especially in the 70s, by like having like a bunch of that shit on strings? And they have some people just off screen, just like pulling a bunch of shit to make the pots and pans. Because I'm also thinking of how they're filming the scene.
Oh, I'm like, sure.
I bet you they just got tons of people off screen just pulling wires and throwing shit and just making things. Because it is a very hectic scene. Oh yeah, very well shot. Especially like I said, the lighting when the boy opens up the door, which I'm guessing he just keeps doing it. Not only is he a child, but he's obviously drawn to this like these creatures or whatever. For kind of just how Roy is, how he's just in that one. What's the other lady's name?
You're talking about Barry's mom?
No, Barry's mom.
What was her name?
Jillian.
Jillian, yeah, I think that's right.
As Jillian Geiler, what? Is that her name? Well, anyway,
yeah, Jillian, Barry's mom.
Yeah, like just like that scene as a whole was like just like crazy shot. I definitely got vibes of Poltergeist too.
Oh,
like, from all that stuff. And then he opens up the fucking he goes through the doggy door, and then he gets like thrown or like pretty much sucked through. Pause. And then and then he's abducted so fast too.
Yeah. And then I loved also the way that they depicted the aliens arriving as though it was a storm. Like I really thought that was a cool. It also kind of gave me Ghostbuster vibes. Remember when the ghosts take over New York and they're like coming out of the sewers everywhere?
Yeah.
Remember like the sky, the way that like they were shooting through the sky, it kind of gave me similar vibes for some reason.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to say, I thought the kid Barry, I mean, we've talked about kid acting on both sides of the spectrum, really good and then really poor. I thought Barry did such a great job. I mean, he was 3 years old when they moved this movie. And I thought what he did was really convincing. And especially when you're working a kid that young, Stephen was talking about in an interview, he was talking about how, it's really tough to give a 3-year-old direction. So one of the things that they did when the aliens are arriving is in order to keep his attention, there was a box that a gift. They would basically give him gifts, and outside of the window, I think it was Steven. It might have been Steven, but somebody was basically unwrapping a gift slowly, and that's why you see like this bright look on his eyes because all the effects were added after. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how they were able to get that reaction from him. And you hear Barry say toys, and that's in response to the actual toys that they were giving him offset. It was like a hella funny, like random story about how they got the kid to basically really be present in the moment.
See, Spielberg had a great experience with this kid. And granted, they didn't give him like, he's not delivering just lines on lines. He just has a few words to speak, but he's got like some good facial expressions that he has to convey and everything like that. Yep. But I think maybe Spielberg got too confident, and then he decided to give that kid an E.T. too many lines.
Which kid? Elliot?
Me! This me! Shut the fuck up, Elliot! I will never let that slide, man.
We have differing views on E.T.
No, I like E.T. It's just fucking Elliot would just
acting.
get on my nerves sometimes. Oh my! Well, I'll save that for my cons. But switching to another pro of this movie, another highlight is I feel like the acting, at least by Richard Dreyfuss and by the actress that played Barry's mom. What's her name? Melinda Dillon. Those two, I feel like those two were like, this movie's carried, not really, maybe not say carried, but obviously we touched on like the effects and even like the lighting of like the movie, like how like when the aliens come. But the acting by those two, I feel like the movie was like really carried as well. Like Roy is just losing his mind as soon as he has like the encounter with like the alien or his close encounter. That's our quick segue. That's obviously a highlight as well. Like when he has like his first encounter with the aliens in this truck, and he gets half of his fucking skin burned. Looks like he's like he fell asleep on one side of his body.
I was like, brother, you get burned like that and just that limited amount of contact, you need to go see a dermatologist.
Dude, that's what his word. The wife wanted to put makeup on him. And he's like, no, we'll just tell people you fell asleep in the sun. But after that, he's obviously obsessed with like this figure and this shape, and the mom is also like starting to become obsessed with it. She's just drawing it everywhere, and he's molding it out of mashed potatoes and doing it with dirt piles. But just the acting done by those two, I feel like was really like carried this movie with. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Some of this movie was a slog to get through.
Yeah,
but they could definitely bring me back in with their acting.
Yeah, it's funny too. Richard Dreyfuss wasn't their first pick for this role. I think Steve McQueen was one of the people that Steven Spielberg sought for this role. One of the earlier actors when they were, doing the casting. But he met with Steve McQueen, and because there was a certain emotionality to this character, Steve McQueen didn't feel like he would be able to cry on camera. And he felt like he wouldn't do the role justice. But, I mean, aside from him, dude, Dustin Hoffman was considered for Roy. I read that, interestingly enough, so Gene Hackman, the late Gene Hackman, but I saw that Al Pacino was considered for the role. That's very interesting. I don't know if I can see that, but that's interesting.
There's a quote here that says, I guess, I would walk by Steve's office and say stuff like, Al Pacino has no sense of humor, or Jack Nicholson is too crazy. So I guess maybe Jack Nicholson was also eyeballed for the role as well. Which Jack Nicholson would have been an interesting pick because I feel like he can do a wide range of emotions. But Richard Dreyfuss did his thing.
I think he did too. It's so funny because I also think about this character. I think a lot about his character in Jaws, because they kind of have a little bit of a similar kind of nervous, like anxious energy about them.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to give a shout out to was the visual effects supervisor for this movie, Doug Trumbull. Mm-hmm. He was also involved in 2001: Space Odyssey, as well as Blade Runner. So I mean, this dude definitely has some. He knows what he's doing.
He's got some hitters under his belt.
No, 1,000%.
Although 2001 is not I'm not a fan quite.
No, true, but I mean the visuals of that are just.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I can't knock it for that.
It's pretty amazing. Yo, this movie also did a fucking numbers, bro. A $19 million budget, and they grossed over $305 million at the box office.
Damn, I'm just looking at that now.
What is? And also, did we forget to mention the GOAT, John Williams?
Yeah,
back on his bullshit.
I was actually going to mention that, but I was like, that the score is fine. It's just not one of his more iconic ones. Yeah. And so it definitely I wouldn't say it falls short, but when you see it's like, oh shit, John Williams did the score, so looks like he probably just did this shit just as a favor, just like
these are my B-sides.
I know, like these are my throwaways. Like I'm not really doing nothing with this. Like Spielberg was just trying to save some money. He's like, I forgot to do the score. I need one of John Williams.
Well, you know what's funny? Speaking of music, I really did like the use of music as a means of communicating with the aliens. Mm-hmm. I love that because it's just math is the universal language, right? But music is composed of math.
Oh yeah.
And so I thought that having music as a bridge and connecting these two species, I thought that was really dope. I also think that the element, like the role of communication too. Somebody, I was listening to a breakdown of this, and they talked about the Tower of Babel and like just the religious tones in this movie. Whether it's the 10 Commandments, right? When he's watching with the kids, she's like, it's the 10 Commandments. She's like, I told him I'll only watch 5 or something like that. Like the dynamic with him, where he shouts at his son. He's like, if you want to live, or when they're talking
you're close to
death. When they're talking about taking his kids to go see Pinocchio, I think like the family aspect throughout Roy's journey in this movie was real. Those were some highlights for me because it shows like. It really shows his obsession, but also his increasing alienation and between his family and him.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was really effective.
Well, like man, I would say like a highlight scene, but also a scene that pissed me off kind of was like when he gets like caught in the shower, and he's showering with all his clothes on, and then he's crying and stuff. He's kind of having a moment. And like he's having a moment with his wife, and he's just saying like, I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know what's wrong and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the son just comes in there and just starts belittling him like a little bitch. You're like, cry baby. I was like, boy, if you don't get the fuck out of here right now, it's like I'm trying to have a moment here with my missus. Why don't you just shake around and roll your fucking little ass out of here?
Well, I was gonna say, I think. Like that scene where they're all at the table eating dinner, and he is, he's been just possessed by this vision of there's a Devil's Point. It was called. Like he doesn't know that it's Devil's Point at that time, but he's trying to he's just obsessed with this image, and he doesn't know what it means, but he's reproducing it everywhere. And whether it's the drawings, right? Both him and Jillian do. But at the dinner table, he's making the mashed potatoes into what he'll learn to be his Devil's Point. And his entire family are just watching the leader of their home just
unravel,
lose it. And that was a really powerful scene because it's one of those moments where nothing is said. It's all just in the action.
Yeah.
And that was a highlight.
It's like those must have been some good ass mashed potatoes, man.
Oh my god,
they actually look kind of good.
Yeah, they ain't gonna lie. It got a little Paisley, was that Paisley? What's it called? Parsley.
Yeah, I'm about to say, man. I was like, that looks like the texture might have been on point, but we gotta. Don't want to be a little on the that was
there's salt in there.
I'm about to say that tendency have the unseasoned food, but for the most part, looked all right. But I was gonna drift into some of the negatives.
Some of your negatives. I felt like you were transitioning there.
Yeah, because I already mentioned the like that son was kind of annoying me, just at least in that one moment. I can see why, like, your father is kind of losing his mind a little bit, but the audacity of you to fucking come there and just start belittling him like that, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Well, just to piggyback off of that, one of my biggest issues with this movie is it revolves around Roy and his family. He literally chases his family out of his house in his mania over these visions he's having and wanting to understand the cover-up, that's happening with these UFOs and trying to understand why they're here. And at the end of the movie, he literally boards the ship, leaves with these aliens, doesn't let his wife know, his family know. He just fucking literally ditches his family. That to me was so random. Like, you could have at least had a phone call scene where he's like, honey, I got to do this. Something, because that shit not make any sense to me.
Did you hear about Spielberg? He said, like, I
haven't seen the director's cut either.
What I know, there's no director's cut. He's just, I guess, expressed like regret over like that ending. Mm-hmm. I guess because that was at a different time in his life, and after that, now he became like a family man and stuff. And he said, like, I kind of wish I would have I think now I would change that ending for him, maybe not to even to leave at all, to go on that. Because it is kind of a jarring ending. And honestly, well, first, like, he cheated on his wife. He fucking gives that one girl a kiss.
Was that technically cheating? You made it seem like they were fucking. It was inappropriate. But he's a married man.
I mean, hey, if granted, if I saw my wife do that, I'd be like, bitch.
Oh, yeah. What completely you doing? Inappropriate.
That wasn't. I mean, on the scale of cheating, yeah, he wasn't fucking her, but
he's still out of pocket.
Yeah, he's doing some out of pocket shit. Yeah. But
that was half baked. Like, are y'all gonna do this? Because you guys are clearly bonded over this UFO experience.
If they both went off together, then that would almost be
getting freaky in the stars.
I know they both go, but it would almost make sense too. Like, they have this connection with like these aliens and stuff. But that ending is a little jarring because when you're seeing that father, you're just like, motherfucker, you're just gonna go off with these aliens. You just left your wife and was it 2 kids or 3 kids?
3 kids. He had 2 boys and a daughter.
I'm about to say at least 2 boys. You let your fucking kids and your wife just go off like, yeah, you guys didn't
staying at her sisters.
You guys didn't explicitly like have like, yeah. It seemed like they were actually going to kind of work it out because they had that phone call and he's just like, I'll do whatever it takes, blah blah blah, all that kind of shit. So they didn't like kind of leave it off where, oh, they're done, she's gone, she ain't coming back. It's like if they would have had a more explicit like ending to their relationship, then I could see him going off and doing his thing. It's kind of like the Interstellar shit where he comes back and he sees like his kids have like already like old and like they're dying. I think his daughter was pretty much damn near dead. She was like the hospital and stuff. She's had her family, she's had her life, she's lived. I can't remember what happened
by Jessica Chastain, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I can't remember what happens with the son, Casey Affleck's character. But it's like that, like he came back, you have that closure, and there's nothing left for him here, so that's why he leaves and he goes back out to the planet with Anne Hathaway and find her and do what they do. So it's like you got to have a little bit more of a definite ending to that relationship, in my opinion.
Yeah,
for him just to go off and have this fucking intergalactic fucking Peter Quill Star-Lord experience.
For sure. It just it was too abrupt for me. That was one of my big problems with this movie. But something that I'd read was that this is one of Steven's most personal stories. I know he had a big interest in UFOs. I think there was a book. There was the Project Blue Book that kind of talked about just our government's awareness of UFOs and just the really the investigation of like life outside, life from off-world.
Yeah.
But it was also one of his most personal in the sense that, he, to your point earlier about just, him writing a character where he just leaves his family. At this point, like people speculated that this represents, a lot of anxiety that Stephen had around being a father and what that would mean and just balancing his passion and love of movies, making movies, his career, and wanting to have a kid, like that duality and that kind of inner conflict that he was kind of navigating before obviously he became a father. But I thought that was really interesting because I thought that was an interesting kind of background to where he was as a writer when he was creating this movie.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice to hear him like express like some regret over like the ending, because obviously we both kind of like that leaves this movie with a sour taste in our mouth a little bit. So it's nice to hear that he would definitely change it, because I feel like he probably should have changed it, or it should have a little bit of a different ending, or at least if you're going to have that ending, build up to it differently. Yeah. Take a different road to get there if that's how you want to end it.
Yeah.
And quick little side note, I was thinking, because this movie came out in November 16th, 1977. A movie that came out earlier that year,
Star Wars.
So I was thinking, I mean, obviously it did really well. I mean, both of these movies did incredibly well on even low budgets, critically acclaimed. The fans loved it. But I just wonder what the reception was, because you saw Star Wars. And honestly, I mean, Star Wars has been around now till today. Just like a mega franchise. Close Encounters didn't have that. They're not this beloved franchise as a Star Wars is, not even close.
No.
So I just wonder, like, kind of what the reception was back then when this came out. Like, when you got a Star Wars earlier that year, and then you're getting this Spielberg that just put out Jaws, giving us, like, this space movie. I wonder, just, like, was it a bit of a letdown?
Well, I think this movie was pretty... it definitely was nominated. It killed it at the box office. I think this movie... Now, I can really speak now. I know now this movie seems to be very, very well regarded. And I understand some of that. I think there's things like I didn't care for the visuals of the aliens. That really didn't do it for me. But visually, just the craftsmanship of this movie, from the cinematography, we were talking about the movies that he was making in the mid 70s onwards. And a lot of those movies he was using anamorphic lenses, and you get those beautiful flares from like those halo effects from the light, the spaceship, like things like that. Man, there's some really great stills, just frames within this movie that are beautiful. We talk about the kid opening the door and the light, just right on him. That was great. I mean, some of when the mothership is landing behind Devil's Point, the visuals of that looked really great to me. Yeah. It's also funny too. The people who designed the spacecraft or the mothership, they used a lot of. They would throw on just extra little pieces onto it, just from other movies.
Oh, really?
And there's like a R2-D2 as well as a what are the Empire Starfighters? TIE fighters? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, they're called TIE fighters.
TIE fighters. There's a couple of those just like embedded on the outside of the ship model.
Oh, shit.
It's hella funny, man.
Dude,
just
honestly,
random shit like that they threw. You can actually see, there's a still that you can see R2-D2 just upside down on one of the parts of the mothership.
I have to like go back and like try to see if I can spot it somewhere. Honestly, it looks like a city is on that damn ship at the end when it's like kind of flying off. I'm like,
this looks like
I know. I was like looking at. I'm like, honestly, I'm kind of surprised. Like they haven't maybe even tried to revisit this and give a Close Encounters maybe part 2, but just like Roy's adventure, just like something where is he gone on his? Because I mean, you could go anywhere with the story, really. You can, and it doesn't necessarily have to. You can grab like any sort of actor to play the more recent Roy. Honestly, it would be interesting to see kind of where they would do with like the effects of like the mothership. I wonder where what they could do with it like in today's technology.
A loose, like imagine like the sequel is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I've never seen that.
It's a fun movie.
I
like that movie. Yeah.
Oh, who's in that? Who's the?
Mos Def is in it. God, I can't remember some of the other actors. The British actor that played Snape.
Yeah, I was like, isn't the cover like some dude in a robe?
Yeah.
I think
It's a trippy movie.
Is it?
Yeah, I do. I have a special place in my heart for that movie, though. It's kind of like how I feel about Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's just I love movies that take risks like that and just really imaginative. I mean, it's based. To be fair, it is based off of a book or a series.
Yeah, this didn't make the New York Times 100, did it?
No, I don't even know if that was that super well received. To be fair,
no. Well, I'm ready to pivot to the scores. Unless you have anything else you wanna.
No, yeah, let's do it. You want to kick us off?
Yes, I will start it off. I'm going to give this movie a solid 3. Although that we have been like giving it some praise for like its effects, its lighting use, like whether it's like or on the sets, the acting by like the two actors, like the actor that played Roy and Melinda. It honestly just falls a little bit short. I want to say probably with the story aspect. It just like there were some parts where it just felt really rough to get through. I mean, maybe it was just the weed a little bit. Maybe it was just my comfort sitting where I was sitting. But there was just parts in the story that just felt just really just long in the tooth. It just felt long, like really long to get through. It was like highlighted by, like you said, like whether it's like the dinner scene with him like scooping out the mashed potatoes, or when he's like finally losing his mind and like chucking the dirt through the window and all that stuff. I feel like this movie is really carried by Richard Dreyfuss, but I don't know. It just kind of falls a little bit short with, I don't know. It just doesn't grab me as much as like even like a E.T. does. Although Spielberg has many classics, and this movie was well received by fans alike and critics, but personally just falls a little bit short for me. So I'm going to give this movie a 3. What about you, sir?
Man, we're similar minds. I actually gave this a 3.5. I did enjoy this movie. I had issues with it, but I think that to your point about the visuals, which we've covered, the craftsmanship of this movie, the way it's executed, and I think there's like just the story about like obsession leading to like this kind of alienation and like this longing for connection that also is a big part of this story. Him, in terms of the people who try to get to Devil's Point because they've all had these encounters with aliens, and they all feel drawn and called to this area. Mm-hmm. I thought that was good. I really even enjoyed the light show at the end, right, where they're communicating through music with the ship. Mm-hmm. I thought that was.
I felt like that went on a little too long, though.
It did go a little long. I did, but I thought that was like a cool and novel way, going back to what we said earlier about like the use of music as a bridge between these two species.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't done the edit when they like.
Beverly Hills Cop, yeah, that would be filthy.
Oh, maybe we'll do that edit.
I think of this movie too as a stepping stone in just the evolution of sci-fi movies within that decade. I mean, you had earlier, we talked about early that year, you had Star Wars, a sci-fi adventure drama. I mean, epic, yeah. Really. And then, you have this movie coming after it, which is, giving us much more of a benign perspective on what alien life looked like. And then towards the end of that decade, you have Alien, which is a sci-fi horror take on alien encounters. So I think that this movie is significant in just that evolution of sci-fi, like alien movies.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for it in that regard. I think this is a movie worth seeing. Mm-hmm. But it is not a movie that I will return to very often. And my respect for it doesn't change the fact that when I think of great sci-fi movies, this does not come to mind.
No, unfortunately,
it's not the first 5 that I think. I think of, to be honest, I think of 2001 before I think of this.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's not even a movie I've seen.
Like we were discussing it off mic, where if I was putting this in a a movie or a sci-fi movie Hall of Fame, it's going in like the pioneer realm, or
It's getting a gold jacket.
Yeah, like it's like one of the like it's going to be like top 10 best ever. Like hell no, but it gets a special place in the Hall of Fame because in order to get to some of the top 10s, you have to go through Close Encounters, in my opinion. But I will say that at the end, although the aliens look, when all the aliens start coming out of the ship, that looked fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that, bro.
Ridiculous.
I was not a fan.
But when that first alien comes, you know what I thought of? I thought of Alien Romulus.
Oh,
with that
yeah.
with that fucking weird, yeah. Obviously, Romulus does it immensely better.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I thought of. I was like, oh, this is what the aliens look like. Because I'm honestly, that's what I'm thinking of this whole time too. It's like, what are these aliens gonna fucking look like? I'm like, you cannot go through this whole damn movie and not show me these damn aliens,
bro.
And so when they
Do
finally
us like Rosemary's Baby.
I know when they finally show it, I was just like, oh, all right. But I was like, oh, I just thought of Alien Romulus. I was like, oh, I think Romulus probably saw this and was like, we can do that a lot better now.
You know what's funny? Well, I saw this movie, and then I see, like, it gets to the end, right? And then you see the aliens. I had that reaction of, like, Tyra Banks. Like, we were all rooting for you. And this is what you delivered.
It was just like, about all those, like, little Toy Story aliens. With the green
claw.
I know, the claws. Like a whole bunch of those little motherfuckers hopped out of the damn ship. But it's the 70s, so
yeah. But I mean,
I
bro,
wanna,
you saw what
that's why
Star Wars gave us. Star Wars worked wonders, and it was the same year. And you saw what Alien gave us. Well, that was 2 years later. But
that's why I mentioned it. Like, I wonder if this was like even though it made $300 million at that time, it was on a $19 million budget. That's still crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars made double that,
bro,
and I think
it
was
like
on
less than $12 million.
And I was gonna say, I think on a lesser budget,
bro.
So I wonder if, like, when this came out,
insane.
it was just kind of like, oh man, this is good, we were hoping for.
Money.
Especially like that was like that's like kind of the money shot too. Like you're building up to like the visual of the aliens when you're making a monster flick, whether it's a traditional like a actual monster or a horror or like creature, whatever movie. The visual of it is what people want to see, and especially if you're keeping it hidden. Just like he really does it really well when he gets to Jurassic Park. When you finally give us the money shot of like you're showing the antagonist or the monster in all of his glory, it's got to look good, and it falls a little bit short with this. But this is early Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think we talked about E.T. Check out the review, but I mean that the visuals of E.T. are far superior than what we get here.
Yeah, when you see E.T., you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn, that looks good. Even though he looks obviously super weird. It's more of a family-friendly type
yes, exactly. Very family-friendly.
Yeah, it's more of, I think, more of a family-friendly film than this movie. But when you finally see the creature, whether it's a good creature or a bad one, you're like, oh shit, it looks really good.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, it falls a little short, but still a solid movie.
It does. But, that's our episode for this week. Stay tuned. Next week, we got another flick dropping for y'all. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.